Welcome back everyone to the EDC for Fun channel. My name is Dennis. Today we're going to be looking at the excellent Quiet Carry Drift. This knife is coming to me by way of the Lefty EDC pass around group. So big shout out to Lefty. Thanks for letting me get in on that so that way I can share this with you guys. And I'll tell you right off the bat, this knife I would consider a one and done. Obviously, if you're a knife collector, you've got to have it. you're gonna be buying knives nonstop, regardless. But if you're looking to get one knife that could last you for years to come, you don't mind spending $300. This is $295 for something that is built well with excellent materials. This is a knife that you could get and absolutely be happy with. And the reason I say that is not just because of the materials, but also the build quality, the form, the function. Everything comes together in this knife in a very, very nice package. Obviously, $295 is a lot to spend on a pocket knife, but if that's the world that you're in, and like I said, you don't mind spending that, this is definitely one to consider, and one that I think I'll be adding to my collection at some point in the near future. So that being said, we'll go ahead and get some specs out of the way, and we'll talk about some of the features that really make this guy stand out. So I'm just going to estimate here. We're basically looking at just under 8 inches overall. We're looking on the blade. The cutting edge is going to be just around 3¼ inches. And then closed, it's going to be like 4½ inches. Thickness is just around 1/2 inch. Weight is going to be 4.6 ounces. So it's not a small knife, it's not gigantic, it's not a lightweight, but it's not a tank. I think this is a really, really good size for EDC, and specifically it's going to thrive in wet or even saltwater environments because it's got LC200N blade steel and LC200N in the steel lock bar insert. So you have steel on steel lockup. You see those 2 screws on the lock bar there. There's a piece of steel on the inside that is also LC200N. And then even the liners on the inside, if you can look inside the G10 scales there, you see they're milled out. Those are LC200N as well. The frame lock is titanium, clip titanium, hardware titanium, and then a G10 show scale. On the inside of the pivot there, you've got ceramic bearings. So this guy's not going to rust on you, and that is awesome. So to have a knife that you can use every day, you can use, whether it's on the water or for food prep or, anywhere you're dealing with moisture, things like that, you don't have to worry about this guy rusting on you. Now, obviously, it's always a good idea to dry your blades off and treat them and clean them and, just generally not neglect them. But this is a knife that is not, that you don't have to be afraid about getting wet, which is super, super cool. So that's a big win there. Another big win is just the overall fit and finish. And I can't help myself from flicking this guy out because it's so comfortable to handle. It's with the fit and finish that's on here, all the components are just finished really well. They're rounded. You've got this excellent knurling pattern on the G10 scales, as well as on the titanium side of it, on the frame lock side. You can see this knurling back here. Gives you excellent purchase on this guy. And you do have, obviously, an opening hole for deployment, which I just can't seem to stop doing, whether it's the reverse flick or the thumb flick. This guy is very, very fun to actuate. You do see, let's see, there's some jimping up there. So going back to the fit and the finish and just the ergonomics and how this guy feels in hand, that jimping is not overly aggressive, but gives you a little bit of extra texture there to get into. I do prefer, or would prefer rather, if the jimping went out a little bit farther. So if you needed to get up here, you would still have some jimping up there. Not a big deal. It's fine where it is, but it would be nice to see it extended a little bit farther. while we're looking at this part of the blade. One other thing that I think could be improved on, which is not definitely not a deal breaker, the chamfering around the opening hole, although it is very nice, it would be nice to have a crisper edge there, so either a smaller chamfer or no chamfer, so that way when you are actuating the knife, you get an even better purchase. It's not bad, but it would be even better if that was a little more crisp around the edge of the opening hole there. Going back to the fit and finish, you can see the blade is very nicely centered. We've got that deep carry titanium pocket clip, which is one of the best clips I have ever seen. Obviously it's deep carry, which is nice, but if you look at the way this guy ramps, you've got a very steep ramp here and then a shallow ramp on the back side. So when this is going in pocket, it goes in right away, even if you're wearing jeans or, you know, tactical or work pants that have a thick hem around the pocket. This guy goes in no problem. And then you've got plenty of room in there for that hem to just, you know, to grab onto, and it stays secure in your pocket. But then when you go to slide it out, it's with that gradual shallow you know, milling there on the clip, it slides out nice and easy and doesn't get hung up on the way out either. So going in the pocket is excellent, coming out of the pocket is excellent, staying in the pocket is excellent. And like I said, this is one of the best clips that I've ever seen. And one of the other things I like about it, which is not really part of its intention, but it gives you a little bit of extra purchase when you're fidgeting with this guy. And what I mean by that is I'll put like my knuckles kind of right there, so that way I'm not pressing on this frame lock, because if you press on the frame lock, then, you know, it's virtually impossible to deploy the blade. And so if you're somebody who likes doing reverse flicking, you saw that first fail there real quick, that's because I was pressing on the lock bar. But if I use the back side of that clip, then I can go ahead and flick it without putting any pressure on that lock bar, and it flies out no problem. So yeah, this thing, it looks really good, it feels really good. And you know, if this was my knife, like I said, this is a pass around knife. If it was mine, I would definitely be thrashing on it and not be scared to do that. It looks like it's built really, really well. And, you know, when and if I get my own, I will absolutely thump on it and not be scared to do that, because this thing just, it feels and it looks like, and it's got all the specs of a knife that would absolutely be able to take some abuse. Speaking of which, we'll just kind of compare it to some other knives that are well suited for taking some abuse. Here's my Spyderco Shaman, so you can see how it looks next to that. Kind of a very similar overall size and blade shape. Obviously the Shaman has more of a leaf shape, this guy's more of a drop point, but still pretty similar. Same thing with the handle here. So when I got this in hand, the Shaman was one of the first knives that came to mind. Obviously the Shaman has that big forward finger choil there as well, and this guy just has the sharpening choil, a true choil, which by the way is done very nicely. You can see the plunge grind sits way back here on the choil, so you can sharpen this guy, you know, a bunch of times before the blade starts thickening up on you. You can see there, so it does stay pretty thin throughout that choil, which is sweet. Look at it next to a couple other guys real quick. Here it is next to the PM2, and we'll throw in the Pair 3 so you can get a feel for how it stacks up there. So similar in size to the PM2, obviously much bigger than the Pair 3, but one of the cool things is, yes, it's in the same size category as the PM2, but you can see it's got way more cutting edge because you don't have that forward finger choil, which, you know, I like, a lot of people like. It's excellent for choking up on, but it's not always necessary. So with a knife like this, you've got plenty of purchase back here. There's really no need to choke up, and it works really, really well. Man, I can't stop flicking that thing. Every time I pick it up, I've got to close and open it again. And last but not least, we will look at it next to my Spidey Chef. I think this is an excellent comparison just in terms of the roles that it would play, because this guy also is in LC200N and titanium. And these guys are just made to excel in wet and saltwater environments. The difference, though, and this is why I would get this knife, even though I already have a Spidey Chef, is this to me is more of a food prep knife. You've got the chef's blade style, blade, and then you've got this really upswept handle that allows you to, do food prep without your knuckles hitting into whatever surface you're cutting. So this, although can function very well as an EDC knife, it is primarily a food prep knife for me, or if I'm, fishing or going to the beach. And this guy not only does that, but just has a little bit beefier build quality to it. So I would do things with this knife in terms of thumping on it and just, hard using it more so than I would with the Spidey Chef. And so even though I have the Spidey Chef, like I said, I would definitely get one of these guys so I can have the same qualities as the Spidey Chef, but with a knife that is a little more beefier. So that is, for me, one of the primary reasons why I think this would be a one and done knife, is because it does a lot of things well and it does a couple things really well. So like I said, that corrosion resistance combined with the build quality makes this a knife that I think would last a long time. You wouldn't get tired of it because it is, like I said, fun to deploy. It looks great. There are other versions of this. There's black and I think a green one. And Quiet Carry makes, they make a handful of different things, and this is my first exposure to them. And I'm definitely going to pay more attention to what they do, because after handling this guy, oops, I just flicked it right into my desk. After handling this guy, I'm really impressed. And like I said, I wouldn't mind picking one of these up for myself. So really excited to learn more about this company, and really excited to have gotten to experience this, and very thankful for that. And I'm thankful for you guys for checking out the video. So with that being said, guys, I hope you have a fantastic day. Please leave me a like and a comment. Subscribe if you're not already. God bless you guys. Have a fantastic day. See you.